to bless you and to walk with you in all ways. It is important that we know how to move through the circumstances. And this, like it is mentioned, and I like to continue to enlighten you how we must move as a people, because it's very important that we know that circumstances against the poor is being implemented against them, because no one will help the poor. And therefore, unless you have another plan that will suit you, and that plan can only be addressed by knowing the material that will tell you what you should be doing and how you should do it. I like to, one of my favorites is in the Apocrypha, which I like to start off with in 2nd Ezra. And it says in chapter 9, "And therefore be not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved." So our endeavors is always to understand the righteous and what they should be doing and how they should acquire the circumstances that would be relative for their growth. I would like to open it up with a Hebrew prayer that was given to from Isaac to Jacob. Wayatana laka alahayama matala hashemayama wama shamanaya aratis rabba dagana wata yurasha yabada waka amayama wayasha dakhawawa laka la amayama hawa ha gabayura la achai yaka wayasha dakhawawa laka banaya hamaka ara rayaka ara wara wama baraka yaka bara waka. And may the Elohims give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be they that curse thee, and blessed be they that bless thee. Yahweh be with you in your journey. May Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh God, who is God, that you call upon, that you may rest totally, knowing that in Him is all things possible. It is important that we say the prayers and to be sincere in our commitment to do that which is acceptable before the living God. We must not only pray, we must also be willing to execute as it has been written, because our journey is to serve Yahweh God. That's our journey in life. It is a fulfillment of life. And therefore, as it says in Isaiah 40:1-2, Nakamawa, Nakamawa Apmaya, Yamara Alaha Yakama, Deborah, Atlalaba, Yura Shalama, Wakwa Ra'a Wa Ala Yaha, Kaya Malaha Tizbaha Kaya, Nara Tizha, Akwa Naha Kaya, Lakwa Haha Mayada Yahawaha, Kapala Yama Bakala, Khata Dayaha. Comfort ye, my people, said Allahayama. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her, that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she has received of Yahweh's hand double for all her sins. These are very valuable words that we need to hear. How and what can be our destiny more than in the word that proceeded from Yahweh God? It is important as we see the circumstances coming forth in this world against the poor, against those that are helpless. As the priest that came forward and would say the benediction, Yabarakaka Yahawaha wa Yashamaraka Yara Yahawaha Panayawa Alayaka wa Yakhanaka Yasha'a Yahawaha Panayawa Alayaka wa Yashima Laka Shala Wama. Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. It is said to us in Proverbs that we might understand our journey. We are a people that Yahweh God has given divine instructions, and he has told us what he expects of us. And therefore, we in Proverbs 3:5, it begins to explain to us a very necessary way of thought so that we might be able to not perish in being anguished, but as he says, and how can we address it unless we know our journey? So in Proverbs 3:5, it goes on to say that we need to have 3:5. It says, trust in Yahweh with all thy heart, and lean not on thy own understanding. Yahweh said, we were not to lean on our own understanding. It is very then, if we were not to lean on our own understanding, then what should we lean on? If we can't lean on our own understanding, what should we lean on? And what was said to us? And Yahweh God told the children of Israel. He told them in Leviticus, and I must address the circumstances as has been written in Exodus 19, because he told the children of Israel something very important. And he said to them in Exodus 19:5, now therefore if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all the people of the earth. For all the earth is mine. So he told them, he said, I want you to obey my voice. Because he says in the book of Proverbs, and he mentions it in Proverbs 29:18. He tells them, Proverbs 29:18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. See, where there's no vision, and if you read it in the Hebrew, it will tell you exactly what the vision it is talking about. It is not talking about the seeing of the vision. It's talking about the spiritual vision. But as it said, where there's no vision, the people perish. So where is our vision? So we will not perish. If we go into Isaiah 29:11, Isaiah 29:11 will tell you exactly where your vision is. You understand? Where the spiritual vision is. 29:11. And the vision of all is coming to you as the words of a book that is sealed, which man delivers one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I am not learned. This book was once sealed, but now it is open to us, to let us know who is running this earth at this present time, as it is written in the book of Job. Job 9 will tell you, because we want to know what is happening around us so we can make better decisions, knowing that the circumstances by which this earth is being dealt with, why is circumstances such as this? as we go into Job 9 verse 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Now, if you know the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, then what should you expect other than circumstances that is not agreeable? Because he says, and it says in Proverbs 4, to understand the wicked is to understand his outcome. So as we go from book to book, we will know that the what shall befall the wicked man. So Proverbs 4:19 will tell you, it says, the way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. So the way of the wicked will only stumble. The circumstances will never become circumstances that would be agreeable, because he said the way of the wicked is as darkness. And this is very serious, because it is to take away the grievances that you might have, because that's why it tells you, it says, as you find out this truth, Israel, you must take another attitude. And that attitude that you must take is written here so that you may not perish through anguish and attitude. That's why it says in Deuteronomy 23, verse 29, happy art thou, Israel, for who's like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellence. And thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. So Yahweh said, when you find your enemies liars, he said, don't be angry with them. Be happy. Now, don't lean on your own understanding, but the vision of all has come to you, so that you might know the circumstances that you must do that would be favorable for your longevity and for your stay upon the earth. But you have to know who's in charge. And this wicked man is in charge, and his ways are ways of darkness. And as it says in the book of Psalms, Psalm 10 will tell you, all his ways are ways of grievousness. You know, when you start dealing with him, you're going to have trouble, because he's not going to do right. He's going to supplant. He's going to do wrong. But you have to know how and what you're supposed to do to avoid the circumstances that he has put before you. I would like to read Psalm 10, and I would like to start at verse 5. His ways are always grievous. When you turn on the news, he's going to always have circumstances that he's always in opposition of. Mm-hmm. Thy judgments are far out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffs at them. This man don't care about his enemy. Mm-hmm. He has said in his heart, I shall never be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. He doesn't believe that is a day that's going to come that he will ever see this circumstances change. Mm-hmm. Because he has what? His right is his might. This is his right is his might. It says his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the village. In the secret places does he murder the innocent. And his eyes are privately set against the poor. And this is what our lesson is about. The poor man. The man that can't help himself. That he'll go down in areas and just take and tell him you ain't build nothing with it, and just take it from him. They live there. What you mean they ain't build it? They live there. Mm-hmm. They said, well, what did y'all do for Harlem? What do you mean what we did? We live here. Mm-hmm. That's what we did. I mean, what you supposed to do to a place? You live there. Right. But he said, well, you ain't do nothing. I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? The wicked in his pride does persecute the poor.
And he invading us every day.
That's right. He said the wicked in his pride does persecute the poor. Mm-hmm. He says, for the wicked boasts of his heart desires, and blesses the covetousness. He just takes things, whom Yahweh abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Allahayimah. Allahayimah is not in all his thoughts. We're in trouble. If a man has some thought of God, there's hope. But he said the wicked man that is wicked, Allahayimah is not in all his thoughts. No hope for him. And there's no hope for you if you live among him. Because he's in trouble. He's going to bring trouble. But, as it says in Isaiah, and we have to see, this book will tell you, this is the Tanakh is a book of strategy. It teaches you how to go through and avoid the pitfalls of this man. And he's got a lot. He got a lot. But Yahweh God has something for him. And Yahweh, once you understand what type of man he is, how he's moving on the earth, you can best say, is there a way out for me? Let me tell you in Isaiah 48 verse 22, there is no peace, said Yahweh, unto the wicked. There is gonna be no peace. Not for him. He don't give no peace to nobody, and Yahweh God said there is no peace to him. And that's a serious indictment when Yahweh said, oh, well, I'm not giving him no peace. And we're in the midst, and he has the rulership of this earth. Unless you know how to cover yourself, then woe be unto you, because he's a savage, and he's very, very, very vicious towards the helpless. As it says in Isaiah 57 verse 20, but the wicked are as the troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose water cast up mar and dirt. There is no peace, said Yahweh, to the wicked. There is not going to be no peace to this man. Every time he put a chicken bone to his mouth, some circumstances that aggravates his peace, because he has robbed and stolen and done that which is ungodly in the earth. And Yahweh God does not approve of his way. But we must want to know, how can we avoid it? Let's go to Psalm, and it's very important. How are we going to avoid? We can talk about, but what is criticism without a solution? Psalm 124. What is if you're going to criticize somebody and you don't have a solution, then don't criticize. Because in Psalm 125, in Psalm 125, verse 3. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. Yahweh said, the rod of the wicked shall not rest on the righteous. So what is righteousness? Because we don't understand what righteousness is, then how can we avoid the onslaught of this wicked man? You have to know what righteousness is. Right. You understand? He says that if we don't understand what righteousness is, then it's hopeless for us. In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 25, and it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our God as he has commanded us. So righteousness is the commandments of being obedient to Yahweh God, keeping the Shabbat, doing the dietary, doing the law as he has prescribed. You can't do the sacrificial law, but you have to understand these things are important to us. Now let's go on, that we know that the righteous, but what does it say further so that we can add more to? In Psalm 124 verse 8, it says, our help is in the name of Yahweh who made heaven and earth. He said our help is in his name. That's our help. Because why? Now who can enter into the name of Yahweh? Let's go into Proverbs 18:10. You understand? As Proverbs 18:10, we have to realize the only way we can escape is to do what has been prescribed and lean not on our own understanding. It says, Proverbs 18:10, the name of Yahweh is a strong tower, the righteous runneth into and is safe. So our help is in the name of Yahweh God. He said your help is in his name. It didn't say nothing about Christ. Did you see that there? No. It said our help is in the name of Yahweh. It's a strong tower, and the righteous runneth into it and is safe. So your righteousness, you have to understand.
Read that again.
It says in Proverbs 18:10, the name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. So we must rehearse righteousness. Righteousness is our capsule for protection, because we are not leaning on our own understanding. We are doing what the King, as he has prescribed. He has told us. If we go to Proverbs 10:11, Proverbs 10:11 tells you. Proverbs 10:11. Proverbs. Okay. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covered the mouth of the wicked, because he's a wicked man. It says in Proverbs 11:19. It says
11:19.
Proverbs 11:19 says the righteousness tendeth to life. 30 of that saying says the fruit of the righteous is a true tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. It goes on to say of 30, behold, the righteous shall be recompensed in the earth. So the thing is, it's very important that we know what Yahweh plans on doing. If we go and in Proverbs 10:30, it says, the righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. So we know his outcome. We know that the circumstances that he has presented in the earth, it says, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. But the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. Because the wicked, as it says, he boasts his heart in very silly things, and his mouth is against the heavens. And as we've learned that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So as he utter unrighteousness against in this earth with his tongue, it says here in Psalm 73, therefore pride compassed him about as a chain. I'm at Psalm 73. Verse 6, therefore pride compassed them about as a chain, violence covered them as a garment, their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish, they are corrupt and speak it wickedly concerning oppression, they speak loftily, they set their mouths against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. It says, go on, it says, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. And that's from verse 6 to 8, and then verse 12. And that's Psalm 73. So we want to know how it's going to work out. And I'd like to start reading at Psalm 73, starting at verse 3. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. He said, I saw that what they had stolen in the earth was so much. He said, I envied them. He said, man, they had so much prosperity. He said, I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. In other words, they passed the same evil action of dominating and oppressing people from one generation or from one child or from one person that will rule for that time. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride can pass them about as a chain, violence cover them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak it wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. It says, and they, therefore, his people return hither, and water of a full cup is wrung out to them. And they say, how does Elohim know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. And it goes on. If I had said, I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of thy children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me, until I went into the sanctuary of Elohim. Then understood I therein. He said, after all of this, when he went into the sanctuary of Elohim, he said, surely thou didst set them in slippery places. Thou castest them down into destruction. How are they brought into desolation as in a moment? They are utterly consumed with terror. And this is what is coming. This is why it is mentioned in Psalm 37, verse 35. I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. In other words, it's going to come. This is why in the book of Proverbs, how it's going to come, Yahweh is telling you. He's telling you. He said, he tells you exactly what's going to happen on this earth, so that you don't be startled about, say, oh my gosh, no. He has told you what he plans on doing. It says here in Proverbs 3:25, be not afraid of sudden fear. He said, don't you be afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. He said, when you see that the wicked is no more, don't be afraid of it. He said, because it's going to come. And he said, how's it going to come? He said, it's going to come suddenly. Suddenly. So suddenly. And it said, therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. There'll be no remedy for him. This is all written in this book. Proverbs 6, verse 15. And as I was reading, because you have to understand his nature. His nature is to do wrong. His nature is to take and to plunder. But if you don't know what you're supposed to do, then you become a victim. You become angry, because your job is to seek and to find out what direction you should go to have stability on this earth. It says in the book of Proverbs 17:5. It says 17:5. Let's see what Yahweh God has said concerning, because the poor man is in trouble. If you don't think he's in trouble, he said, whoso marketh the poor reproaches his maker. See,
he don't care.
No, he don't care. He said, whoso marketh the poor reproaches his maker. And therefore it goes on to Proverbs 22. It says 22:16. We're going to talk about the poor. 22:16. It says here, He that oppressed the poor to increase his riches, and that's what they're doing, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. In other words, they oppress the poor to increase the riches. They up his rent. They don't pay him anything. He pays what? Top taxes. That's right. They do it purposely. It says in Proverbs 22, it says, rob not the poor because he is poor. God said, don't rob the poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. He said, why would you rob the poor? The man is poor. The man is poor and you robbing him.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of him. Making sure he can't do nothing. You understand? And it goes on to say, for Yahweh will plead their cause and spoil the soul of those that spoil them. So Yahweh God is angry at them for doing, as you said, how you going to rob a poor man? Because the poor man has something of value, but you're not going to give him anything. You're just going to take it from him, because who's going to help the poor man? Nobody.